Have you ever walked into a room, and without a single word being spoken, you just felt something? Maybe it was a doctor's office, cold white walls, buzzing fluorescent lights, and your chest tightened without you even realizing why. Or maybe it was your grandmother's old living room, soft greens, sunlight filtering through lace curtains, and suddenly you felt safe, peaceful, like you could breathe a little deeper. Now, think about your elderly loved one. Where do they spend most of their time? What colors surround them, day in and day out? What if I told you that those colors aren't just background details? They're quiet influencers of how your loved one feels, heals, and even how they remember you. Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? But it's true. Blue and green, two simple colors, have been shown to calm the nervous system, reduce stress hormones, and even support cognitive function in older adults. Yet most of us never think twice about what color we paint the walls, the color of a blanket, or the tone of light from a nearby lamp. We focus on medications, appointments, maybe diet, but we forget that healing isn't just about what we give someone. It's also about what surrounds them. Because here's the thing. As we age, our senses become more sensitive. Noise can overwhelm. Touch may fade. But color still speaks. And it speaks loudest to the heart. So, if you've ever felt helpless, wondering how to bring comfort to your aging parent, grandparent, or someone you care for, this might just be the easiest place to start. In this video, you're going to learn how blue and green, two colors you probably never gave much thought to, can actually change the emotional climate of your loved one's space. We'll dive into the psychology behind it, the studies that back it up, and how to make practical changes without spending a fortune. Because your loved one deserves to feel safe, grounded, and at peace in the place they call home. If you believe that even small changes in an environment can make a big difference in someone's well-being, go ahead and comment "Color Matters" down below. And hey, if this kind of heartfelt, helpful content matters to you, too, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos from Healthy Senior Advice. Now let's get into it, because what you learn today might just shift the way you see everything around you. Because color isn't just decoration, it's medicine we don't need a prescription for. 1. Blue lowers blood pressure and stress. I want you to picture this. Two senior living homes, identical in layout, but worlds apart in feeling. The first one has walls painted in dull beige and muted gray. The lighting is harsh. There's no real warmth. Residents move slowly through the hallways, quiet, withdrawn. Attention lingers in the air. Caregivers whisper about rising anxiety, sleepless nights, even sudden outbursts from residents who usually kept to themselves. Now step into the second home. Soft blue walls. Curtains that let in natural light. Gentle, soothing tones in every room. The air feels lighter. People are more relaxed, more talkative. Caregivers notice it first. There are fewer arguments. Residents sleep longer, wake up calmer. Even blood pressure readings start to stabilize. Coincidence? Not at all. The science behind blue is powerful. When we see blue, especially the soft, natural shades, it triggers a response in the brain that helps lower cortisol, our primary stress hormone. Blue slows the heart rate, calms the nervous system, and gently encourages the body to let go of tension. Hospitals use it. Therapy centers rely on it. And in senior care, it can quietly become a lifeline. Now I know, some folks hesitate. They think blue feels cold, maybe even a little sad. And sure, if you're picturing harsh navy or sterile hospital blue, I get it. But what we're talking about here are the gentler hues: sky blue, powder blue, dusty cornflower. These aren't cold. They're comforting, like a soft blanket for the soul. So what can you do at home? You don't need to repaint every wall. Just a few small changes can shift the emotional tone of a room. Try light blue curtains in a bedroom or blue throw pillows on a favorite chair. Even a painting with soft blue skies or ocean waves can add calm to the space. And once blue soothes the mind, it's time to nourish the soul. Because green, that's where the heart starts to heal. 2. Green supports mental recovery and balance. Let me tell you a story. A young woman brings her grandmother a small gift. It's not expensive. Not even fancy. Just a little potted plant. Nothing more than a few green leaves and some soil in a white ceramic cup. She places it on the windowsill, right next to where her grandmother sits each morning with her tea. Weeks go by. Nothing dramatic happens. But then, the family begins to notice. Something's changing. Grandma's more alert. She hums while she sips her tea. She remembers names more easily. There's a sparkle in her eyes that hadn't been there in a long time. And it all started with a touch of green. There's a reason for that. Green is the color of restoration. It's tied to balance, healing, and clarity. Studies show that just looking at green, especially natural shades, can ease mental fatigue, help with focus, and even speed up recovery from illness or surgery. Doctors have seen it in hospitals. Patients in rooms with views of trees recover faster. Students in green classrooms concentrate longer. And seniors surrounded by even small doses of green tend to feel more centered and less confused. Now here's where many people get it wrong. They think green only helps if it's outside. Trees, grass, gardens. But even indoor greens, like a forest print curtain, a soft green throw, or faux plants, can mimic that calming effect. The mind doesn't always need real to feel relief. What can you try at home? Add a green area rug in a common room. Hang a piece of artwork with natural scenery, a path through a forest, a peaceful meadow. Or bring in a few houseplants, even if they're artificial. It's the visual impact that matters. And just like that, your loved one's space becomes a place of healing. Not a hospital. Not a facility. Home. But healing colors aren't only about comfort and calm. Sometimes they're about holding on to the people we love, the memories that matter, and the stories we're still writing. And in the next part, we're going to explore how certain colors can actually preserve memory, improve emotional clarity, and reconnect seniors to themselves, even as time tries to take those pieces away. Now, let's pause for a moment and talk about something few people realize, yet nearly everyone encounters, especially in aging care. It's not just how we use color. It's how seniors see it. Color perception changes with age. You're helping your dad into his favorite recliner and he says, "Why did you move the blue chair?" You're puzzled. It's right there, in the same spot it's always been. Only, he doesn't see it that way. To him, that blue chair looks gray. Or your mother reaches for what she thinks is her green blouse, and later complains that it looked brown in the light. You wonder if her eyesight is fading. It is, but not in the way you might think. This isn't imagination. This is biology. As we age, the lens of the eye naturally yellows. It's like looking at the world through a sheet of parchment. At the same time, the pupil becomes smaller, letting in less light. That means cool colors, blue, green, violet, become harder to distinguish. They lose their edge, their vibrancy. But here's the twist. Even if seniors don't consciously register these shades clearly, their brains still respond to them. That's because color affects emotion first, not logic. Even a muted teal or softened seafoam green can calm the nervous system. Even when the color looks dull or off to the eye, the brain still interprets its essence, its energy, and reacts. Yet there's a common misconception. Many caregivers think, well, if dad can't see blue clearly anymore, what's the point of using it? But that's not how color therapy works. We don't rely on vividness. We rely on presence. So how do you adapt? Use bolder versions of calming colors. Instead of a pastel blue blanket, try a rich teal throw. Swap a washed-out sage for a jade-colored cushion. Bring in seafoam accents, which carry the same psychological calm, but with more visibility. This way, you're not just decorating. You're reaching deeper, past the eyes, and straight to the emotions. But like all tools, even healing colors can overwhelm if we overdo it. When blue and green can be overwhelming. Let me share a moment that stuck with me. An elderly gentleman had just moved into a newly renovated suite. His family wanted to give him the best, soothing colors, a peaceful atmosphere. They painted the room in deep navy. Dark teal curtains hung from the windows. Even the bed sheets were a forest green. On paper, it sounded ideal. But within weeks, something changed. He started spending more time in bed, spoke less, ate less. He seemed dimmed. The caregivers noticed the shift. So did his daughter. They thought maybe it was memory loss, maybe depression. But then, one small change brought clarity. They replaced the heavy curtains with soft cream linen panels. Suddenly, the room opened up. It breathed. And so did he. He began engaging again, sitting by the window, humming when he brushed his hair, asking about his grandchildren. So what was really going on? Science tells us that while blue and green calm the mind, too much of these cool tones, especially in low-light environments, can trigger loneliness, melancholy, even emotional withdrawal. It's not the color itself, it's the intensity, the lighting, and the lack of contrast. Because seniors often spend extended hours indoors, their emotional environment becomes a constant loop. If that loop is too cold, too dim, too monotone, it can dull the spirit. Yet we often hear, more is better. More blue must mean more calm, right? Not quite. Balance matters more than saturation. Even healing tones need room to breathe. They need contrast. Think of it this way. Blue is the quiet conversation. Cream is the gentle light that lets you hear it. Green is the soft song. Pale peach is the open window that lets it float. So, how do you find that harmony? Pair blue or green with warm, grounding neutrals. Use a soft buttery cream or a light wheat beige for walls. Add pale gold lampshades that cast a warm glow across the room. Layer in textiles in blush, apricot, or soft ivory. Colors that anchor the spirit without overwhelming the senses. You're not canceling out the blue or green. You're simply letting them bloom against a kinder background. Because in the end, healing isn't just about what we feel. It's also about what surrounds us, how a room holds us when the world feels hard to understand. And that brings us to the next essential chapter. What does a truly healing environment look like? For your aging parent, your partner, or the elder you're caring for? What specific design elements matter? And how can you shape a space where peace and vitality quietly thrive? We'll uncover that next. Now that we understand how color touches not just the eye but the heart, let's take it one step further. What does it look like when those choices come together into a space that actually heals? Let me tell you about Mary. She was caring for her aging father, a retired schoolteacher named Bill. He had always been sharp-witted and fiercely independent. But after a mild stroke and a move into a smaller apartment, something in him shifted. He became quiet, disconnected. He stopped reaching out to his neighbors. He even declined his weekly chess game, something he never used to miss. Mary didn't need a doctor to tell her what she could feel in her bones. Her father wasn't depressed, he was disoriented. His space no longer reflected who he was. It felt cold, temporary, clinical. So, she made a decision. No interior designer. No big renovation. Just intention. She started with pale green curtains. Not minty, not sterile, but soft like spring leaves. She replaced his scratchy brown blanket with an ocean blue quilt, the same color as the lake he used to fish in every summer. She added potted plants. Nothing fancy, just ferns and a pothose vine that curled toward the window. She even moved his recliner so it faced the morning sun. Every detail had a purpose, not just visual, but emotional. And within weeks, Bill started to change. He smiled more. He asked about his granddaughter's piano recital. And during his routine check-in, his social worker wrote something she rarely gets to write. Improved mood. Increased engagement. Positive shift. That's the power of a healing environment. And while color is a key ingredient, it doesn't work alone. There are three elements that form what experts call the triad of sensory comfort. Color, the emotional tone. Light, the rhythm of awareness. Texture, the invitation to feel safe. Together, they create an ecosystem, not just of style, but of psychological well-being. Science supports it. Research from geriatric design studies shows that naturalistic environments, spaces that echo the tones and textures of nature, reduce agitation in seniors, particularly those living with dementia. Not only that, they help regulate sleep, reduce depressive episodes, and improve cognitive response. But here's where people get stuck. They assume they need a designer, or thousands of dollars, a remodel, a new floor plan. Not true. Healing isn't expensive. It's intentional. A $10 throw blanket in a calming color does more than decorate. It tells the nervous system, you're safe here. Repainting one wall in soft earth tones can completely change how a room feels, especially when it's the wall they face when they wake up. Swapping a cold LED bulb for a warm white lamp can soften every expression in the room, including your own. And if you can't paint or buy anything new, rearrange. Shift the chair closer to the window. Place a plant where it catches morning light. Use what you already have, but with a new lens. What in this space soothes? What aggravates? What feels human? You don't need perfection. You just need presence. Because the goal isn't to impress. It's to invite healing. And now, let's pause. Not just for information, but for meaning. Because all of this, the curtains, the light, the colors, they're not just for them. They're for you too. As a caregiver, family member, or advocate, your energy is the undercurrent of the space. So the question becomes, what happens when you walk into that room? Does it drain you or restore you? Because the truth is, a healing space doesn't just support your loved one's well-being, it supports yours too. And in our next chapter, we'll explore exactly that. The emotional toll of caregiving, and how small environmental shifts can protect your mental health while nurturing theirs. Let's step into that conversation together. It's hard. Watching the people who raised us, the hands that held us steady as children, now trembling slightly as they reach for their eyes, once sharp and certain, sometimes lose focus. Their voices, once filled with command, now pause to find the right word. And in moments like these, what surrounds them matters more than ever. The last thing any of us want is for a cold wall color or a poorly lit hallway to become just one more barrier. On an already difficult journey, you might feel overwhelmed, guilty, torn between your own responsibilities and the ones you've taken on in love. But here's the good news. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You don't need to be perfect or have all the answers. You just need to notice, to pay attention, to ask the quiet questions that often go unheard. How does this space feel to them? Where does tension live in this room? What's one thing I could soften today? Awareness is the beginning of healing. Because when you start to see your loved one's environment as more than just functional, when you start treating it as emotional scaffolding, you give them something deeper than comfort. You give them dignity, safety, a sense of control in a world that slowly takes it away. So I invite you, today, walk through your loved one's room. Really see it. Does it feel peaceful, comforting, warm? If not, what color might shift that? Maybe it's a soft coral pillow, a buttery yellow lamp, a curtain in gentle sage. You don't need a transformation. You just need an intention. And most of all, please hear this. You are doing the best you can. That matters more than you know. Because even the smallest shift in color, in layout, in light, can be the first step toward a more joyful, stable, and dignified life. For someone you love. Let's take a moment to gently revisit what we've uncovered today. Blue isn't just a pretty color. It's a stress reliever. Green brings balance and calm. Our eyes change with age, making some colors harder to see clearly, especially cool tones. But too much of those calming colors, especially in dim spaces, can have the opposite effect, leading to loneliness or fatigue. And most importantly, you don't need a budget or a background in design to create a healing space. Simple, thoughtful changes go a long way. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which idea are you going to try first? Have you ever noticed your loved one reacting differently to colors around them? Maybe they sit longer in one chair because the lighting feels safer. Maybe they seem more talkative near the window, or quieter in the darker corner of the room. Let's talk about it in the comments. This channel isn't just a voice, it's a community. And I read every single message you leave. If this conversation helped you view caregiving from a new perspective, if it gave you something to think about or something to feel, please consider giving this video a like. It might seem small, but it tells YouTube that content like this matters. That thoughtful, compassionate guidance in elder care deserves to be seen. And if you're passionate about creating peace, dignity, and health for the people who once cared for you, hit subscribe and join our growing healthy senior advice family. We're in this together. Because at the end of the day, every small act of care counts. Every gentle change, every quiet question, every ounce of patience you offer when you're running low yourself. It matters. So much more than you realize. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Stay compassionate. Stay curious. And I'll see you in the next